Hello everyone and welcome to the Emmen Gaming stream of Metaphor Re Fantazio. It's me, Mooney here today, and I'm gonna be playing this game from a new game onwards, and we're gonna take a look at the first hour of this game. Now, before we begin, a little introduction of the game for anybody who may not know what this game is. Um, and I will also be doing a little bit of sound check and stuff like that. Sound seems to be good. Alright, so this game, Metaphor Re Fantazio, is a game by Atlas, the publishers and developers, I guess, of Persona, of Shin Megami Tensei, of Digital Devil Saga, and a lot of these a little bit more esoteric and niche JRPGs, right? I've been an Atlas fan for quite some time, and I've played quite a few of their games. I got to know them through Persona, but eventually branched off into SMT myself. My favorite is SMT 3. I was also a player of SMT 5, although I have yet to play Vengeance, right? Now, this game really excited me right from the very get-go because it's been a while since these guys have made something that was wholly original, that is not like a numbered entry into another thing, right? And as such, when I heard that this game was coming out, one thing that I actually took care to do was keep myself fully blind to what the game was about. Oh hey, look at that, we're about to see the opening cutscene. This usually plays when you boot up the game, and I'm gonna showcase this one because I think that it's a pretty good um, way to start the game, because it's basically an inciting incident, and we get to see this every single time we boot up the game. Now, as I was saying, I kept myself completely blind to this game. I've played a little bit of it now, I think up to where the demo ends, right? And I am pretty familiar with it, but at the time when I did play it, I was fully blind. Now, this game
I trust this will suffice.
takes place in
God
a
smiles upon the
fantasy
generous.
world, right? A unique one that they've created with their
Away with
own
you!
lore.
Back to your cesspit,
By the way,
beggar!
I'm doing the English dub. I hope that's okay. I speak English, so I thought I'd keep it real. Anyway, so this is a world that they've come up with their own lore, with their own characters and everything, and
A land
it
grotesque as its
is
people.
really, really fun.
You dreamt of
I think
utopia.
that
You saw the
it's
tribes
a really
united as one.
cool world that they've created. Now, as for the characters so far, everybody that I've seen
That
are
dream died
very
long
interesting.
ago.
Like this guy,
You should have done the
he
same.
is a character that really gives me Griffith from Berserk vibes, right? And if you are a Berserk fan,
Your kingdom
I think you will have a
will
really good one
perish
with
alongside.
this particular game. You see, this guy's already like just taken out the king, just like that. Hey, looks like I forgot to update the game that I'm playing to make it I um
By my
to make a
hand.
metaphor that I'm still playing
I
Silent
cannot
Hill.
fathom it. His
I'll fix it
Majesty killed
next
in
time.
his own bed.
But in
The
any
blooms
case,
upon the prince's grave had yet to wilt, without an heir to wear the
like I
crown.
said, this is a
What
world
will
with its own
become of the
lore.
royal
There's a lot
magic?
of different
Thus
fantasy
vulnerable,
races, and they
invasion
have
might
different
undo us.
dynamics
From
between them,
within or
which is
without,
something
the
that
state
I
hangs
really
on a
enjoy.
precipice. It may even come to civil war.
In dark times, we must stand together.
Your Eminence!
Who could do this?
Who
Few
indeed?
could even enter the king's chambers, let alone draw close. And yet,
See,
His Majesty's arcane power could
one thing
deflect
that
near any
really
blade. With all
kind
the
of
royal bloodline's magic, who could
shakes
harm
my
him at all?
expectations is that one of these
shadows
characters
stir in the castle just
is a
as they did
bold
with the
character
prince.
that you might have seen standing
What
back there.
hellbound soul could end a
This
royal
guy
life?
has this
Who would dare
voice
such
that's very
atrocity?
manly, but I thought it was a female character, so that really surprised me.
Luis.
But anyway, here you go.
A
Here you go.
shame
This is
to die
Luis.
with no heirs. The prince was taken too soon.
Oh no,
And only a
everybody's
king
died.
may
What
wield
can
the
we
royal
do?
scepter, the very crux of his vaunted bloodline's magic, which made such a fine deterrent to war.
Only there was
One has
somebody
to
who was
ask,
capable and willing and
then
attractive
dead,
who could take the
who
throne.
shall take the throne?
Ah, there you go. This guy is giving me the whole I did it, you know I did it, but there's nothing you can do about it. Look.
War is on the horizon. Before the king I must finish my final work.
By the way, that logo gives me Kingdom Hearts a little bit, but I don't think it's too connected in any way. This book by the way, is something that's rather relevant
It's not right. It's
for
this idea of
the
oneness.
story
It's only ever been
as a
until we
whole.
get this before. If we could end such a prejudice, surely war would be next to fade. We would be free to travel to far-flung lands. The reality is, we are riddled with anxiety. We fight.
One thing that I really
We
like about the
oppress,
game so far is that
and
they seem
magic
to
is
have a
but
lot of
tool of war.
how do you say,
Our world
details
could be
about
better.
the world that
Can we
shows
not
like the
dream
various
such
social
dreams?
dynamics and political dynamics that exist here, and I think that's really, really cool.
In such a world, they need no sorcery. A megapolis is built through learning and skilled labor.
And these people, even though they
Glass
live in a
spires
fantasy
reach
world,
the
they still
heavens.
deal with a lot of
Safe
difficult
nights with
issues
no
like
dark
racism,
shadows.
like poverty,
Streets
like
well-traveled.
political corruption and stuff like that. And they imagine
And
a
in the
fantasy
laws of these
world where there
emotionally
are no
satisfied
different
people it
races, where
reads,
everybody's the same,
all
and
lives
it's
are
all
equal.
united, right? And
I know.
it's
Just
kind
a
of interesting
daydream.
because the visuals
Castle
that
on
they
a
put
cloud.
such a world makes it look kind of like ours. Like, look at that.
Yet I have faith. I believe that fiction can become hope, wielded by a worthy avatar. I believe a hero will stand true and change the world.
Another thing I like
After
about the
all,
stories
this
are
world need not stay
is
like
that
this
there is a
forever.
lot of sincerity in it. The
The
idea
will to
that,
believe in something beyond us. Indeed, that is what we
like,
call
look at that quote, right?
fantasy.
I love that. I think that it's a real love letter to the idea of fantastical stories and how stories can inspire us to do really great things in reality. Like how fantasy inspires reality, so to speak. Hey, here we go. The title screen with the signature Atlas artistic flourish. Everything just looks exceptional, so let's just begin a new game and see what happens. You're here to see gameplay after all, not really to see me just wax political or poetic about the world.
Who's there?
And yeah, hey Star, it is
I
a
can
pretty
feel you
great
watching
world
me
that
from a
he's
place
talking
beyond
about,
my
you know,
sight.
with the buildings
Whoever
and the
you are,
cars and everything,
please
like
tell
with
me.
people wearing
Does
suits and
our
whatnot.
world pique your interest? Pardon my curiosity, but would you tell me your name? That is to say, tell me who you really are. The one who meets my eyes across a strange threshold.
I really like this, right? See, because the game is asking what my name is, right? As in me, different from the protagonist. And I think that that's really cool. And the reason why I went with my real name when I actually played the game is because I have a feeling that just like a game like Nier, the game is cooking up something interesting. That one day it's gonna hit me with an emotional gut punch that really makes me go, ooh, okay, that's cool. So let's go with Mooney. I can name the protagonist later.
Ah, a most unusual name. One I've never heard in
But you
our
don't have
world.
moon-based names in your world?
Which suggests to me
0
you
out of
might
10.
reside in a
I'm
world
joking.
beyond ours. It is a curious thing that in your eyes, my entire world is but the dawn of a story yet untold.
There's
Or
a
to put
certain
it another
fourth
way,
wall breaking aspect to this.
is a fantasy. But can it truly be dismissed as something so far removed from you? If indeed you wish to cross to our world for a time, I would first ask that you indulge one question. Is fantasy limited to the confines of imagination? Would you call it a powerless creation?
I don't think so. And like, see, when it comes to these kind of role-playing games, especially the ones by Atlas, like Persona or whatever, the first playthrough of mine is the one where I usually answer each of these questions, each of these character interactions very genuinely, right? So it's asking me, do I think fantasy, stories, imagination is pointless? Like, it's just imaginary, it's not real, that it doesn't have any effect in the real world? And my answer genuinely is no. I think that stories can inspire people to do really great things. So let's say this,
More
not
than
always.
wishful thinking, more than fiction. something capable of affecting the realities beyond its bounds.
Here, here,
This
brother.
must be what you believe.
It is.
I confess, my own answer still eludes me. But consider, if fantasy is born from hope, a desire to make the world better than it is, then that hope can be made manifest. Thus does change come, and thus is fantasy forged into a new reality. Perhaps the story about to unfold before you will tell us. I'm thoroughly invested now myself.
Me too.
So, let this tale begin.
Let's do it. Okay, so I'm gonna play this game, at least as far as the stream goes, on the normal difficulty. Hello, Yuekito, and welcome to the chat. And I find it really interesting that the hardest difficulty is called Regicide. Oh my goodness. And anyway, let's begin. So, who are the main characters in this carriage, huh?
Looks like we're in the clear. The capital's just through this desert.
Is it true then? The king is dead. Aye, and the guards are more concerned with the funeral than keeping the roads safe. So now the monsters are roaming in broad daylight. No soldiers to stop them.
Monsters, huh? I've certainly been hearing the stories.
Uh-oh.
To say nothing of the vacant throne. There's a storm coming. Mark my words. That much is certain.
What's the problem?
Hey, it's a little fairy.
They're bandits!
Come on, let's see some respect for the militia! Us folk, we're commoners! No crown or church will save us!
But Lord Luis will save us one and all. All we ask is a little tribute. You're with us or against us? And if you're against us...
Ooh. See, in this world, almost anyone can use magic if they have
An igniter?
an igniter.
Ugh,
It's like a little magic device.
how'd they get one of those?
Come on! Hey, keep it moving! Hurry it up! Next one!
Oh man, all my gold for to start the game is gone.
Huh? Look at you! What have we got here? He's an elder! So he is. No horns, no knife. Filthy gremlin like you. What you got in the capital? Oh, what's this? Looks like you've been holding out on us, boy.
Hey yo! No, no, no! Don't grab the book. That's mine. Yeah, Yuekito, I really agree. The art and the voice actors are really great, and you should hear it. There are some fantastic Scottish and Irish accents in the game. I think it's phenomenal.
Now fall in line. Unless you want to get stuck like
The
us.
Britishness of it all gives me Game of Thrones a little bit. Let's go, elf lady.
You drew steel. I take it you are prepared to die by it.
Ooh.
Stand aside.
Uh-oh. Okay, so one thing that I want to say about this game off the bat is something that I really like. The fact that our main character is not a silent protagonist. Many Persona games, many SMT games, our main character is saying
This place
nothing.
already feels like a death trap. You hear all that stuff
But
about
this guy can
Lord
actually
Louis
talk.
saving us?
But
Hey,
we'll get to
you
that.
okay?
Now, another thing I want to
Still
note
got
is
all
that
your
maybe
limbs
this is a
attached?
game that could be approachable to
Well,
Genshin
at least they
Impact
didn't figure out
fans
our
because
mission.
our main character is followed
Definitely
by a
could've
little
gone
fairy.
worse.
Oh, let's see. I'm gonna pick a dialogue option, and bro is gonna say it. The voice actor is actually getting paid this time.
Are you alright?
Been worse. And from the sounds of
When
it,
I first
you're
heard it,
about
I
the
was
same.
super surprised.
You do know that if anyone finds out who we really are, it's all over, right? The mission's more important than either of our lives. If we screw this up, there's no going back.
Alright. So I think we get a little bit of a hint here. It's the Tradia Desert.
Think we'll make it?
So, when it comes to dialogue in this game, you might have noticed that she didn't say what was actually written there. Some of the dialogue is fully voiced, and sometimes what they do is they drop a little verbal cue, and then they'll just have the dialogue be something else. This is a trick that they use in Persona 5 as well for scenes that are not exactly main scenes, right? Like this. Okay. So, anywho, yeah, I know all about this.
Let's go.
So this is the open world. We can walk around. We can attack a little bit like this. This is how we get into combat, kind of, right? We can also dive around. Now, as I was saying, people who play Genshin Impact might find this game to be a little bit familiar because we've got a little fairy hanging out with us. But um, the difference between Paimon and this character, whose name is Gallica, is that she, by the way, she's sitting on my shoulder. Hello. She actually has a personality, a character, right? Sorry to any Genshin Impact stands in the chat, I guess, but like what I'm trying to say here is that Paimon is basically a mouthpiece for the traveler. She basically says the things that like you could be saying as a player, right? Like all of your dialogue is generally unvoiced, whereas Gallica has her own goals, her own personality, and she adds to the conversation as like an independent person in the conversation rather than necessarily like being someone who speaks for me. Yikes.
Watch out!
Okay, so when you hit L2, you have an ability called Phase Sight, which allows you to basically see how tough enemies are and stuff like that,
Stay
right?
vigilant. These ones
Now,
aren't messing around.
since we are now able to see this game a little bit, like, I'll be honest with you, this is not the best looking game of modern consoles. In fact, the PC requirements for this game are actually surprisingly low. But I still appreciate the art direction that they went for, the art style, rather than exactly how high fidelity everything is. Because as far as I'm concerned, like computer graphics are getting more and more quote unquote realistic, like as the days go by, right? And
No. Looks like they found us.
it is the games with the good art style that actually last for a long time, rather than games that necessarily just look high fidelity for the sake of it. Also, I want to point out that when you run in this game, there are some speed lines that are drawn and there's a blurring effect. Some players really hate this. I'm perfectly fine with it. It doesn't really bother me. So in this starting area, we got worms, we got dogs, and we got... Yikes. We got this guy, this large boy over here. This is a manticore, probably. Oh, yo, leave me alone. Anywho, I am currently too unprepared to deal with any of these enemies. The best I can do is basically poke a few of them with my sword. Oh boy!
Come and get.
But my damage is so low that I'm not really able to do much. Now, one thing I want to say is that because this game allows you to attack in real time, there were some online discourse about how, hey, maybe the next Atlas game should be, you know, an action game, a real-time action game. And I super disagree with this. I think this is a bad take, specifically because even though you can basically swing your sword around in this game, the actual turn-based combat in this game is way better than the very basic 3D action combat that they have. We'll get to that turn-based combat at some point, I'm pretty sure.
Just checking, but you do remember what we're here to do.
For now, let's focus on the story. Well, because y'all are new, I'm gonna say I don't remember.
Right. What am I doing again?
Oh, I don't know. The mission that's more important than our own lives? First, we get to the royal capital and get you enlisted as a guardsman at the army's recruitment center. This could decide the fate of the whole country. We either do our jobs or we die. And if it's all the same to you, I'd rather stay alive. So we've got to see this mission through. Come on. We don't want the sun to go down on us in the wastes. Let's pull ourselves together and get back on the road. You know what they say. Anxiety
Okay, so I've been given some feedback that the game audio is a little low, so I am gonna
City
boost it
breeds
up.
the world's cruelest monsters. I mean, fairies say that at least. I can at least cast my usual spell for you.
Oh, this is
It's the
something
small
I
comforts,
really like.
right?
Right.
So she cast a spell that allows me to hear music in my head. The audio of this game, the cool OSTs, everything is being actually heard by the protagonist diegetically.
Music was the first magic this world ever knew, after all. Makes the road a little easier.
I love this line. Music is the first magic this world ever knew. That's a beautiful line. Now, you might be hearing some sort of chanting going on right now. This chanting is not English, it's not Japanese either. It's a language called Esperanto. So you might want to Google that to learn a little bit more about what it is and its cool history.
Over there. Let's go. Got a sec?
Alright. Hey, we got the memorandum. This is the lore collection of the game. It's grouped into nature, magic, history, people, and culture. And you have these entries that let you read a little bit about them. Igniters. And it really lets you get to know what this world is about and what the kind of things, you know, are in it. And I've been having a really fun time just reading through all of them and getting to know people, characters, and various cultures as well. Like, did you know that there is a monotheistic religion in this game's setting? I think that's pretty cool. Right? Anywho, let's run. Oh boy, that's a lot of wolves.
Hurry!
The game does not waste your time very much. It allows you to just run around and grab items and stuff lickety-split real easy, like.
Not good! Run for it!
This land of 8 tribes and 3 nations, all blessed by the power of magic. The United Kingdom of Uchronia. The year is 785. Uchronia is shaken to the core by the sudden death of its king. Anxiety breeds dissent among the tribes. Disparities tear them apart, and no mortal mind remembers the heroic tales upon which their land was built. By this story of fantasy, may this faded world be painted anew.
That giant inverted pyramid looking building is a great cathedral. By the way, they have their own language too, but don't tell me, don't ask me how to read it because I have no idea. Luckily, we do get subtitles, so. There's quite a few anime cutscenes in the game so far as well, which is something I really like. Also, have you noticed that there are these particles that are just floating around in the background? That's this world's residual magic, just floating around. There's magic everywhere. Hey, yo.
Get on with it then! Drop the dog! Hang him dead! Please! I've done nothing wrong!
Okay, maybe this game is not exactly all ages. It's a little bit it really goes places, you know?
For misuse of an igniter, you will hang by the neck until dead.
Yikes, okay.
There's no way
Viewer
that crowd is
discretion
going
is
to listen to
advised.
anything
I'm
a
sorry, I
therapist
should have warned you. I kind of forgot that this kind of scene was there in the beginning.
You spare some coin?
These are the cat people race, by the way.
Bless you. Oh,
Careful!
hurry.
have any street smarts? Come on, kid. Look, we're not tourists here. We gotta stay focused.
Right.
Our main character
notice
is
back
a
on the
race
wagon?
called Elda,
You might
which
be
is
the
why
only
they
Elder
have
here
this
in the
blue and
whole
gold
city
eye
even.
thing going on. So far as I've played in the game, I've never met another Elda. Seems like these are one of the rarest races. And there's a certain amount of discrimination faced by this race because apparently they're not like all the other races for whatever
Capital's
reason.
incredible. Just look at all the different tribes. You never see this kind of diversity out in the countryside. Not that it's very balanced. I see more Clamars and Roussants than anyone else.
The Clamars are the Horned Folk. They're kind of like tieflings from Dungeons and Dragons or something. Roussants are the elves that we see around here.
Which means a dopey Elda kid's gonna stick out like a sore thumb. Try to keep your head down, okay?
Hey, did you hear what they're saying about His Majesty? They say it wasn't illness at all. I heard it was foul play, assassination.
Uh-oh, who could have done that?
Careful who hears you say that. But it's just like the prince, isn't it? They say he was attacked in the dead of night. A war of succession is coming, I tell you.
Sounds like monsters have been prowling the countryside. They're sending the guard out to deal with them. The army's really gone to hell. It's a far cry from when we had Count Luis at the helm, I'll tell you that much.
Hard to see how the nation can come back from this.
Even at this stage, they're making sure to kind of seed little bits of information and intrigue into
Did
it.
not have to ask if the prince was still alive.
Now, let me just audio. Alright, let's carry on.
The king dead.
Hey yo,
His
our main
son
character
stricken.
knows the prince.
Are there none left to bear the weight of the crown?
He does.
We've done all in our
Isn't this
power.
a really cool animation?
But
Look
not
at that
even the kingdom's
curse.
best.
I love the way that
The
it's
saint
represented.
could purify this affliction.
Over 10 years he has languished under this curse. How much longer can his body hold out? No doubt His Highness would protest. But since he cannot, we have no choice. For the man who cursed His Highness and murdered our king, there can be no mercy. I never thought I would have to ask this of you. But there are so few of us left now. There is no one else to turn to. Will you infiltrate the military to deliver a message to our contact there?
And that's our mission, you guys.
This is your mission. For all our sakes, you cannot fail.
Oh, where is little old scholar? I will not fail you.
Hey! Are you... Well... I guess I can't blame you for feeling nostalgic. You and the prince were pretty close.
Interesting.
Anyway, getting to the capital was only the beginning. Now comes the real high-stakes part. You gotta go get enlisted, so you can meet up with our operative. Remember, nobody here knows who we are. Nobody here knows the prince might still have a claim to the throne. That means if we get busted, that's it. Nobody's gonna save us. Step 1. Let's figure out where the recruitment center is. Shouldn't be too hard, considering the need for soldiers.
Alrighty, let's go figure it out. I'm gonna go directly to the mission places to get the story going so that you guys don't have to just see me exploring and figuring out what's what.
Whatever will I do?
There's a lot of quality of life things that have been added into the game, like the ability to just press up just like that and save. Easy peasy. Right. Pressing R1
Alright,
shows you the entire map. It lets you know what's what.
Look at that. The new model's out now. I could be out there slinging spells like a master if I had one of those.
Oh, look at that interesting
I
stuff
guess that's
there.
the big city for you. Everyone and their mother has a magic igniter. So many different types, too.
Now I want one for myself.
Yeah, until you see the price tag. Can't imagine what it's like having to wave around some shiny stick to use magic. Me? I can whip out magic anytime I like. And I can even see the Magla in the air.
Magla is
No,
the name given to
not
magic,
exactly
magical
much
energy
mage.
in this
Wonders never cease. A fairy and
Hey,
an
look, it's a
elden
person
child.
of color. Heck yeah.
Are you new to our fair city? Well, I suggest you keep a low profile. Trust me when I say you don't want to catch the... but I'm getting ahead of myself. Here's something that might catch a foreigner's eye. This is modeled after the royal scepter and would make the perfect
So
souvenir.
this kind of looks like the king's royal scepter. Interesting.
The royal scepter?
You've really never heard of it. Wow. Where do I even start?
A symbol and instrument of the crown's sovereignty, passed down through generations. If you believe the legends, it houses incredible magic. World-shattering power. More practically, you might call it the world's most potent magic igniter. And in the king's hands, it was enough of a deterrent to stave off invasion.
Now he's dead. With no living heir either.
Tragic, isn't it? Kingly magic is of little use without a king. You picked a bad time to visit, boy.
Gets to be the
I
next
don't know why
king
you're
is
here,
a major theme
but
in
there's
this
trouble
game,
brewing.
by the way.
I'll keep that in mind.
A word of caution then.
She seems very tough,
Well,
but she's
that
kind of
was
nice.
unnecessarily ominous. Anyway, we don't have time to hang around chatting with the local.
It's true. Let's go find that recruitment office. One thing I want to note is that this character Gallica and her relationship with the main
Let's head
character,
there.
it gives me like the protagonist of Shin Megami Tensei 3 and like Pixie, that kind of thing. By the way, when you move from screen to screen, you see this little animation, which I think is very cute.
All right.
What are you playing at?
Oh, this world is just full of cool little world building touches. Like, do you see these things that look like funnels? They're actually siphoning in those particle effect magical energy from the atmosphere to condense to be able to use, like in this particular case, as lights. They're powered by the magical energy around them. The floating aspect, the glowing aspect, that all comes from the energy that they're sucking in constantly. Interesting, isn't it?
I'm out of ideas.
And by the way, surprise, horses have donkey ears in this world. It truly is a fantasy world. There are all these lovely little touches that just make this world seem so interesting. Cathedral I was talking about. I'm personally a huge fan of this very stylized color style as well. Like there's a certain reddish color to it because it's daytime, you know? And I kinda like it.
That must be the recruitment center. I'll let you take it from here. It should be pretty straightforward. Oh, and if they start asking questions, just be as honest as you can. Lying will only make us more suspicious. So long as you don't compromise the mission, good luck in there. Knock 'em dead.
Knock 'em dead, she says.
Okay.
A blue blood, are you? The army's no place for velvet-swaddled lord.
Hey, this guy. You just know that
Why are
he's
you
trouble.
here?
He looks like
Perhaps
such a jerk. He's got a jerk face. Face of a jerk.
Is that it?
Lineage seems a strange measure for a soldier's worth. I'm looking to enlist. Is that enough for you or not?
An uppity one, aren't you? Fine, lordling. Welcome to the Guard, where it'll be your privilege to die screaming and bloody in service of your country. But mark my words, war will turn your arrogance to piss. When your corpse is plucked from the mud, do try to look patriotic.
Oh, what a doomer.
Rousing words, Captain. You think threats will buy loyalty? No wonder nobody respects the Guard anymore. But I'm here now, so perhaps the kingdom isn't a lost cause.
Yo, bro is that guy.
You will learn your place.
Don't. The healers have enough on their plates already.
Be gone. All right, next. Hurry it up. An elder? I thought your kind was long gone. Age 18. An orphan, too. The army can always
It's kind of
use
sinister,
more
isn't it?
gold. So, what brings you to enlist?
I want to fight for real change.
Lofty words for a gutter rat with an empty coin purse, no? So, what can you bring to our beloved corps? Any skills to speak of?
Okay, okay. This is an interesting question, okay? So I'm gonna hold this a little bit and just dissect this a little bit more. In this game, there are 5 stats, right? You've got strength, you've got intelligence, you've got like endurance or constitution, your body, which determines your HP. You've got agility or evasion, which determines whether things, you are able to dodge things or not. And then you got luck, which so far I haven't figured out what it does, but I'm sure it's gonna be pretty broken if usual JRPG tropes are to be believed. When you pick one here, you will pick the stat that you are the best at starting off. So I'm gonna say I've always been lucky.
I've always been pretty lucky.
For no reason. I just picked intellect the last time, so I thought that's something.
Right,
Try something
last
new.
order of business. Make your mark or sign your name if you're actually literate.
Literate. But low standards. And now we get to name the protagonist. Let's call them Emmen.
You know your letters, do you? We'll get some use out of you yet. All right, lad. Welcome to the Guard.
You, Akito, I don't know if you know this, but the protagonist being 18 years old actually is such a big deal compared to a lot of the Persona games where it's like 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds, so I'm just glad that they're moving up.
Standard issue guardsman armor and igniter. Kingdom property.
Hey, we're getting an
So if you
igniter.
break it,
Maybe
it's
nothing so
coming out of your
special, but
commission.
something.
On your way now. Up to. Next.
I wonder if they noticed that we come with a fairy. Isn't it really cute the way that she's just standing there? Alright. Let's just join.
Well,
do you see that there is a like time of day kind of thing going on here?
I heard
That's
they get
because
sightings.
what of those huge monsters? You think that's why we're low on soldiers? Wish they'd have told us that.
okay, we're gonna put a pin in this particular conversation because this is something I'm really interested to discuss. But what I really wanted to point out is that this game has a calendar system. It has a 5 days a week kind of time thing going on. And each of the days have their own unique names, like Water's Day and Idol's Day and stuff like that. And I find it to be very nicely named. It's another facet of that world building that I'm talking about, right? And of course, Persona fans are gonna be completely familiar with the idea of a game having a timetable like that. You know what that means? Yes, we do have a bunch of activities that we can do at various hours of the day, and it does actually impact the like game in a time management sense, right? But there are some differences from Persona, which is something that I really like. Now anyway, back to this conversation. So apparently there are huge monsters running about.
What do they call them? Something like human.
Did you hear that? Huh. Something like what could that be? We'll just put a pin in it.
Another Clamar.
Wait. No. You don't look like the others. Surely not. An elder? It's the first of your kind I've seen.
Bro is about to cut the
Move
line.
it. There's a priority around here. We're arming squires and children with igniters now. Waste of good gear. It's better off in my hands. Give it here.
Brute force and crude insults. The world is yours for the taking.
I really like this character, by the way.
Care to say that again, boy?
We all have our reasons to enlist. Now get back in line.
Oh, another high and mighty Clamar, is it? You think your pretty words will measure up to pure Roussant strength?
Oh, forget the tribes. This is a matter of pride. Now, you owe us both an apology.
Come on, no fighting in the ranks.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry for making a scene.
Don't
You
be
all right?
sorry.
Thanks. You didn't have to do that.
Just felt like stepping in. Don't worry about it. Well, see you around. Try not to die out there.
Don't make my job any harder, please. Here, your igniter.
Thank you.
These days, most come with their own magna crystals. So with practice, anyone can use magic. To an extent, anyway. It's not the sort of thing you can master in a day. For now, newbies like you best focus on surviving.
To me, it's interesting that these igniters around these
And
guys'
take this
necks
too.
kind of have a
Protect it with your life.
shackle vibe. Oh, Skewstar says that it is the same VA as Dion from FF. What was that? 16? Let me do my math here. Yeah, that's 16. Roman numerals, am I right? Oh, I see. Yeah, you're right.
Wow,
He does
that's
sound
a
really
real
great.
map. It's dangerous to even chart the wilds.
See, this is
but
something
this
that
is
really caught
full
my
of
interest.
details.
Apparently, it's not common for maps to
Only the
exist.
military could pull this together.
Listen up, striplings. My name is Captain Klinger. And as of this moment,
That's a jerk
you
name, and
miserable
you know
lot
it.
are under my command. I'm sure you've all heard about our forces being tied up with the funeral proceedings for His Majesty. But if you think you're on cushy security detail, think again. First, you will be deployed to a fortress at the northern border, where you will be trained into true guards. Our veterans there will teach you the one thing you need to master if you're to survive. Pain.
Perfect. That's exactly where our contacts hold up.
Enjoy tonight's sleep, because it's the last full night's rest you'll get. Dismissed!
UA Kito has made a guess that the giant monsters out there be humans. How intriguing.
Look at all the other recruits. They really are desperate for new blood. Oh, right. I know you don't know what our contact looks like. He'll also know right away why we've come. Well, the charming captain is probably right. We should get some rest before tomorrow. Hey. You awake?
Yeah, I'm awake.
Sorry to bug you. Look, I just have a lot on my mind. Can't seem to fall asleep. I'd heard about what it was like in the capital, but still. When you hear and see all this prejudice out in the open, it's a lot. You okay?
It never gets easier.
Yeah, I could tell.
I'm not saying anything because I'm
Try
letting
to
the
put it
scene
behind you, okay?
speak.
Some people are even saying it's the lesser tribe's fault that the monsters are showing up at all. These are the same kind of people who burned down your village, remember?
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, but still, the prince was kind to take you in. He cared more about who you were than what you were. I can see why you'd want to repay him. Oh, speaking of, he's the one who gave you that book, right? Can I see it?
Sure, I guess.
I gotta say, I've been curious. Thanks.
Check this out, you guys. This is very cool. Every now and then, a character will come and read a little bit off the book.
It's what you call a fantasy story, right? So it's a fantasy world made up by the author. The prince loved those kinds of
So
stories.
this is a
Okay,
fantasy
let's see.
story in a fantasy setting.
It says the young traveler was amazed by the world he saw. In this world, there is only one tribe. All people accept each other, and no soul is born into discrimination. Wow. So not even any fairies? I guess less differences means less to argue over. In such a world, there is no need for sorcery. A megapolis is built through learning and labor. Towers of glass that reach the heavens. Safe nights with no dark shadows. Busy streets well traveled. And in the laws of these emotionally satisfied people, it reads, all lives are equal. Whoa. I see. No magic, no tribal conflict, and equality for all? It really does sound like a fantasy. But it's strange to feel envious of a fictional world.
I really like this moment in this game, right? This is something that really caught my eye even when I played it early on. Specifically because we are living in the quote-unquote real world out here, and we are playing this game to immerse ourselves in a fantasy world about cool magic and all this kind of stuff, right? Only to find out that the people in this world, they yearn for a world that's more like ours, you know? A world without like various fantasy races to fight each other, a world where, you know, like the world can be developed through hard work and people's learning and whatnot, instead of necessarily just strange magical artifacts. A world where people they have the opportunity to be equal. Now we know that in the real world actually various kinds of discriminations and hierarchies and whatnot do exist, but I think there's something really powerful about the kind of world that us gamers would love to go live in, imagining our world as an ideal world that they would like to live in. Like, there's something a little trippy about that. It at least made me think about what parts of our world could actually be better than, you know, a fantastical, magical world. And that's not something that I think about very often. Usually I'm like, oh man, wouldn't it be cool if magic were real, or if there were fantasy races, but here they are wishing that skyscrapers and well-lit roads were real.
Hey,
it's
are
just a
you
matter of
asleep
perspective.
already? You know how hard it is for me to turn these pages on my own? Well, guess I'll just read more later. Good night.
Gallica, very cute. Very wholesome character. Alright, you guys. It's late night on Waters Day. Save the event. I'm gonna say no. Hey, it's Arbor's Day. The next day. Cutscene. This is a dream, I bet.
Shouldn't you be resting? I'm fine.
Hey, look, it's
In
us as a
fact,
kid.
I'm glad we have this chance to talk. I've been reading, and I hope that someday we can make our kingdom like the place in this book. You said it was some kind of fantasy novel, didn't you? Our lives are decided at birth, by tribal purity, or by the differences that make us who we are. I don't want that to be the world we live in. The Elder here are a perfect example. If you'd not sheltered me, I would never have survived. And yet, they burned your home down. It's tragic, and no one should have to suffer so. Someone needs to fix... You okay? Don't push yourself so hard. Reality is much too cruel. I know that. But I'll fight it. I'll fight to the end. I'm a prince. But I need to be a hero. One worthy of the throne. A hero? One who can lead. A beacon who will pierce the darkness when all seems lost. My father taught me that. In his stories, the kingdom was full of legendary heroes.
This is something that they're teasing, and there's something that we'll get back in.
In my ideal world, people can believe in their future. Their
Now,
birth doesn't matter.
In
Not
the
that I expect it will be easy.
interest of
I
letting you know how
believe in you.
long I plan to stream today, I'm gonna be streaming until a
Familiar
certain
words.
point in the story.
When
Like
I'm
I want
down,
to show that
when
particular
I struggle,
event because that's when the
you're
game kind
always
of
there to
opens
help
up
me
a
through
little
it.
bit in terms of battles and whatnot. So
Let's do it. You'll
it's
be a
pretty
hero.
close now, I think.
Trust me.
But let's see where things go. I hope you guys are enjoying the story so far and how the game looks and how it plays. I find the relationship between the main character and the prince to be really wholesome. Unfortunately, there is the matter of this curse that keeps growing. We get all One Piece on y'all, but I think it's interesting that the
I
main
won't give up
character
either.
actually inherits the prince's will.
Trust me.
And we cut to us traveling towards the fort. Just a fun little FYI, it's a little difficult to travel from settlement to settlement in this world because of all the monsters. Carts like this traveling, it's not exactly on the common side.
Until arrival at the northern border fort, one day remains.
It's Metals Day.
Let's see.
Alright y'all, so this is the world map. Take a look at this. I'll zoom out so we can see it better. Wow, look at this. Isn't this cool? There's a squid guy with a surprisingly human-like face. Very creepy. But moving up, we've got like an ocean area with a few islands here. I've never gone there. We've got these interesting looking islands. We've also got this mountainous area followed by an orange foresty area, and then there's this deserty area, this snowy area, and this like lush area. Two types of vegetation as well, which is kind of interesting. And this surely has to be a destination that we can go to one day. For now, this is the main city.
Hold on.
Let's see.
This
place
is where
here.
we're going. So let's go.
Hey, don't forget. Okay then.
So this game isn't
The carriage
open
transporting
world
the
as
new
much as
recruits
open zone
arrives
or
at its
sometimes
destination.
dungeon based, right? So you can go to certain places and there'll be areas to explore. And the world map itself is a kind of point and click affair, which
The northern border
I'm totally
fort.
fine with.
The towering fortress was built during the
Because the
Annex
areas
War
themselves
in the
have
mountains at the
decent
edge
enough
of the
amount of
territory.
detail for me to
Even
like.
now, soldiers are sent there for its strategic importance to the royal capital and to combat the rising waves of monsters. Fresh-faced soldiers disembark from their coaches at the foot of a steep ascent to the fort, the first of many uphill battles.
Look, it's Klinger. Blech.
Oh, finally. Can hardly feel my legs.
Listen well, you lackwits. The battlefield is no place to sit on your asses, and the border front is always a battlefield. The call to arms could sound at any time. Stand to, curs. You have the honor to serve at the command of Captain Klinger, war
He
hero,
is a war hero.
tactician, master of arms. When I earned rank in the trenches, forged in the blood of my comrades.
Spare us this drivel. Say, friend, I'm curious. What is it about that book that's captivated you so?
I'm gonna go with this one.
It tells of a world united as one tribe.
No discrimination, eh? A far cry from our world, then. So it's describing a better world. A utopia, perhaps. I'm something of a reader myself, but that's not like any book I've read. You know, when the late king took the throne, he was quite the idealist himself. He made grand claims about unifying the people under his rule. Never managed to do it in the end, of course. Reform takes more than high-minded, eloquent speeches. Maybe he was too blind to see that himself.
Listen to you. A babe with his first sword thinking he knows better than a king. Keep your mouth shut. No one cares what you think.
Nobody asked you.
Something to say? Go on. I'm listening.
If it's a fight you want, draw your blade.
Didn't think you'd just challenge me straight out.
Yeah, man. Like, you think
You've got guts for a lesser tribesman.
Stuff?
Well, Clemar, I'll let it go this time. But only because I like your friend.
Even
Next time, keep your complaining to
bro.
yourself.
I'm level 1,
That's the
but
last
you're
thing
like
I
level
need.
none.
Though I suppose I deserved it in part, speaking ill of the dead and all. My mouth tends to get ahead of my thoughts sometimes.
Me too, bro.
Although, I'm glad a bad habit seems to have drawn us together. Oh, never got round to an introduction. I'm Stroll. Leon Stroll, son of the Count of Harlia.
Stroll.
And you are?
I'm Emmen Gaming.
That's my name.
I have that right? It's got a certain weight to it. For what it's
Yeah.
worth, my title doesn't mean much. Here and now, we're peers and equals.
What a good dude.
By the skin of my teeth! Now, where was I? Right, as for you, fresh
He's so into giving his speech, he
Someone
doesn't even remember.
help!
Hey, yo?
Is that a soldier? Hey, speak to me, man. What happened?
Listen. Stay on God.
Not one of mine. Must be one of the fort's guard. Those damn vultures across the border. They must have heard about the king's death.
Looks like things are heating up.
To the fort! Double time! I'll stay behind to
So much for the
proceed
war
to the
hero,
war,
you
bastards.
loser.
You want us to go on ahead? Alone?
I knew fear would take you at the first step. You wanted to... The guard has no place for cowards. You are but...
He's right. We're warriors. Up there is our first chance at glory and riches.
I'm a little concerned. Maybe you should think about your own safety. Like, if a trained soldier came back wounded, what chance do you
Suppose this
have?
is what we signed up for. Onward, to the fort then.
I mean, we're different because, you know, we're main characters in an Atlas game, but these guys, they don't even get names.
Hey, I've got a bad feeling about that. It's hard to explain, but it's like there's a stench in the air.
Uh-oh.
And it's getting
It's even
stronger.
more bad news.
Hey, did something... Wait, is that a... fairy? Did you catch it yourself?
She's with me.
Yes, and I have a name, by the way. It's Gallica.
So you travel together? You've stayed well hidden for quite a while.
Well, I didn't want anyone making a fuss. But we've got bigger problems right now. I can't shake this feeling. We gotta be careful.
Agreed. I'll follow orders, but I'm not about to let this armchair general send me to my death. Let's take a moment, then head in once we're prepared. I assume you know how to use an igniter properly?
I'm not so sure. He's never used one before. I mean, he's a commoner.
Fair enough. Well, just stay behind. I'm with you.
Brave fighter trying to conceal his nobility as
Oh, this is
ally.
bad. I didn't think you'd actually have to fight anyone. I just hope our contact in the fort's okay.
This piece of music, which is currently out on Spotify, by the way, the whole album is.
Here we go.
I love this piece of music.
Actually,
I see.
Alright, let's go in here. Northern border.
this is...
That doesn't sound good. Yikes. Look at that creepy thing.
That's a human.
That's a human? Was my first reaction when I saw this thing. Like, look at this sick design, but like, my goodness, why is this thing called a human?
We have to help the survivors.
So because I am trying to get to a certain point in the story, I'm not gonna be exploring every room of this dungeon and finding all the optional content. Just know that there is quite a bit here, right? Like so, you know, items like this.
Hey, you found something.
This is bad.
What?
Apparently this is a human too.
What do you think? Huh. Got it? Take care of it, please.
Alright, so check this out.
Things will be fine.
Basically, after hitting it and when you hit triangle, we suddenly jump into what we call squad battles, where like we are doing the turn-based RPG thing now. And I love the fact that the transition is an anime like little cutscene of the guy's face, the MC. I think that's awesome. So the reason why this current enemy is stunned is because I attacked him a few times before I did it. So hey, you're hearing the battle music right now, and this is a music that a lot of people love and they're memeing the heck out of it. Now, this is something that initially I was really bugged about. I was like, oh my god, am I gonna be only able to control myself? How annoying is that, right? But luckily these guys have learned something since the days of Persona 3, and this situation is temporary. I won't tell you how or why, but just know that it is.
I won't hold back! Burn! Still up?
Burn to ash!
The
Let's catch up,
combat music. I mean, in general, the music is awesome, but the combat music in particular is fantastic. The battle music has that chanting in Esperanto that I was talking about towards the beginning of the game.
It's terrible.
Thanks. Looks like everybody's not doing okay. Oh wait, did I just accidentally exit? Whoops, wrong direction. Kind of got turned around there. Surely this isn't the way to go, right?
Come on!
They're out cold!
Okay, let's give this all we've got.
Burn to up! That's one!
Took one out.
Good one, Straw.
The power of fire!
Let's keep this up. Okay, I feel stronger.
And look at that, my luck is better than my other stats. So what happens when you level up is something goes up by automatic and you gotta pick another one that you can improve. So I'm gonna improve my HP. You hear that chanting going on in the background? I just love that.
I think
so
that's all
much.
of them.
We have the edge. This could be our chance.
Get in there!
Let's wrap this up!
Only one
Nice.
left. Finish them off.
We're here.
Only one left.
Burn
Finish
to
them
ash!
off quickly.
That settles that. That'll do it.
Okay, I might have accidentally gotten lost. Whoops. This isn't what I want, where I want it to be. Oh well. At least the movement is fast enough that I can just run around. What I'm trying to do is go confront that human enemy. I want to show you guys like what it's all about, and because I think it's a fascinating creature.
Be careful.
Hey,
So one thing that's cool about
Okay.
this game is that if you go from behind an enemy and you strike it, you stun it instantly, and then you can go into battle.
Let's settle this quick. Burn to up. Not done yet.
Still up?
The power of fire.
There's no way I'm stopping here.
Star, I absolutely agree. He says that it cannot be understated how important an amazing regular battle theme is. If you're gonna be constantly hearing it, it better be a banger of a song, and you are so right. Like, Atlas games usually have fantastic music, but this one though, I sometimes play while I'm just working at the office or whatever, because it's just such a good song to keep hearing over and over again, and it loops fantastically.
This battle's out.
And the music is pretty good too. When the chanting begins, I'm just like, whoa. Also, did you guys see that there is something called Unscathed Triumph? If you manage to win a battle without actually taking a hit from anyone, that's pretty awesome. You get a little bit of extra XP and rewards, which I think is really cool. Here's something that I noticed that's kind of interesting, okay? So this soldier talked to us and now they're dead, right? This soldier.
No.
Is also dead, but they call him the departed soldier, and they use like synonyms of death, dying, and so on to kind of characterize this. I think it's a little motionless soldier. I think it's a cool little thing that they added there.
Hold on. You... I get it now. What?
Was that?
Hurry!
Alright, cool.
Let's hurry.
I'm gonna try to dodge this battle if possible, because I want to get to the human fight, you know. I want to show you guys what's so cool about this game's battle system. It really comes into a head around then. Ooh, that guy missed. That was close.
Hey.
That's true, but...
I'm heading out.
I really like this character, Stroll. I like that he actually tries to live up to all the fancy moral, you know, moralizing that people like to, like, kind of espouse. Alright, let's go. Y'all are about to see something absolutely cool.
Damn. Such tremendous power.
It's horrible. I can't believe what I'm seeing.
We can't let it get away with this. We have to hold it off somehow.
I hope you guys are keeping an eye on the stream right now, because things are about to go bananas.
Damn humans. It was all because of them.
We'll just have to make it
yeah,
work.
man, humans be causing all the problems.
Let's go. Burn!
Vile monster. You're mine. The power of fire.
Yikes.
Oh, please.
All things are not looking good.
What's going on? It didn't even flinch.
Damn it all! I'm not going down like this.
Same here, brother.
Burn to ash!
This boss is called Homo
How is it
Corleo.
this strong?
Homo as in human. I don't know, it's kind of awesome. I don't... The fact that like all these human enemies have these like various names that allude to humanity. It's very odd.
I'll distract it.
I haven't figured out what this all means, but...
Above all else, I am a noble.
Hey, yo,
and a
don't
noble
sacrifice
defends
yourself,
his people,
man.
no matter the cost. Farewell. If you would repay me, then live.
Forgive me.
What? No! Please, say something!
Yo, we just met him.
Don't be a fool. Just run before it.
Oh, fate-saddled child.
Uh-oh.
Oh, anguished
This
traveler.
now. Oh, where are we now? Suddenly,
Thy
we're in a
fate is
different
crown
place.
twined, thy soul bound for the throne.
Bound for the throne?
Future yet unknown dawns in this moment.
Oh, really?
Thy path may fork, but only one may be chosen. Confront the threat before thee, or die here in obscurity. Now choose.
I choose.
Interestingly, we don't get to make this choice.
So be it. Heroism lies in the soul that stands firm.
I think it further
against its
disconnects the
fears.
idea that this is us. I think we're only controlling
Power
this guy.
awaits thy command. The time is come to awaken the hero within.
This is the game's Persona moment.
Engrave thy
Persona
very
fans know
heart.
exactly what I'm talking about. This reminds me of SMT a little bit. Yo, SMT3 specifically. Yikes! Ta-da! Our heart is now a metal object. When this first happened, I was like, what the heck is going on? Look at that design, y'all. Isn't that just gorgeous? Surprise! This was a Persona game all along. Not really, though. I'm just kidding.
What the heck is going on? Anyway, we've got to find a way to fight back.
Alright, you guys. So, before I make any more moves or anything, I'm gonna clue you in on a little bit on like what's going on here, okay? So, this is something I didn't know about because I played the game blind, but there's a system in this game called the archetype system. It's pretty similar to Personas in Persona, in the sense that they are monsters or entities that fight on your side and do things for you. But what's different as far as I can tell is a few things, right? First of all, there is far fewer archetypes than Personas, right? So, where in the Persona game, you might have hundreds and hundreds of different ones based on the various mythological creatures that exist. In the case of archetypes, they are actually referring to the archetypical versions of certain things, right? Like the archetypical knight, the archetypical warrior, the archetypical brawler, the archetypical mage, someone who represents the concept of a mage or a brawler or a fighter or a knight to a T, right? Like for example, if I say, hey, think about the concept of a warrior, the first character that comes into your mind, because they represent in your mind the concept of a warrior so perfectly. That's what an archetype essentially is in this game. Now, in a historical in-game lore perspective, these are supposed to be visuals of legendary heroes of this very setting that have eventually gone on to become known as the archetypes of a certain thing. Now, this particular archetype is the Seeker, right? And each archetype comes with their own like advantages and disadvantages. They are good or bad at certain things depending on the archetype itself, and I think they all have excellent designs. I haven't even uncovered all of them in my main playthrough as well, but as far as they go, it's really cool. Now, another thing that I really love about these archetypes is this, right? In Persona, you're kind of stuck. Like, you, the player, you can change personas as much as you like, but the other characters are stuck with the persona that they have, right? It's their main one, and that's about it. Now, in the case of Metaphor, you can actually give anyone any archetype, And this is so clutch when it comes to like dealing with certain difficult encounters. You can make everybody in the party like resistant to what the boss is dishing out, or you can make everybody in the party able to actually dish out like the exact weakness that the boss has, right? And this weakness thing matters a lot because do you see this kind of little crystal that's rotating at the top side of the screen? That is basically similar to the press turn system of Shin Megami Tensei, right? In Shin Megami Tensei, depending on the number of party members you have these little icons. In that game, it look like little demons. Now, if you hit an enemy weakness, okay, let me before that, in that game, if you actually make a move, one whole icon gets consumed. However, if you hit an enemy weakness, if you crit or something like that, only half is consumed, right? So basically what you want to be doing is hitting those weaknesses and hitting those crits, because that means 4 turns can become 8 turns if you play it right. But if you miss, you lose 2 of them, right? So in this case, I'm going to come back to the battle now and actually play the game. It says that this person has 2 abilities. Day, which recovers some HP, we don't need that right now, and Psych, which does wind damage. So let's try Psych.
Scour! Alright, that did the trick.
So this guy is not weak to Psych, but he's still doing a lot more than that measly sword attack. And this is something really cool that isn't immediately obvious. Our character just lost the igniter they had, and yet we are still able to tap into magic.
Are you okay? If we don't push back, we're dead. Can't we fend off those attacks somehow?
So this is another thing that they picked up from.
Looks like it mainly attacks with the head wings and blade feet. We can target those.
This is something that the game picks up from Persona, being able to attack different parts and having different reactions.
Wind!
That's it! Stay on!
The freedom
see?
of a wanderer.
Instead of 1 turn, now I'm able to get 2 turns out of this.
Come forth, royal soul!
So let's take out its wings.
We've got to hit the other spots too.
Yeah, attack me as much as you like, I'm gonna get you.
Scour!
You hit their weakness!
Let's stay calm. Wind! Come on!
Ew, it's eating its own apples. Does that count as like self-mutilation because it grew them? What the heck?
It's eating its own fruit to heal? We can't kill it fast enough! It's just gonna fix itself up no matter what we do! Ick! I can't believe it's eating from its own body!
I won't hold
I
back.
know, Gallica, same.
Scour! Come forth, royal soul! A tough one!
Almost there. Now, one thing.
If we don't take out those apple things, you know, maybe there's something I can do.
Oh, hello. Okay, sure. Help me out, Gallica. Knock down the apples.
Understood. Now it can't heal itself anymore.
Check it out. She is actually helpful in combat as well. Okay, so one thing that I want to highlight here that I think is really cool, right? If you take a look at the characters' moves that are available, you'll find that I'm not exactly going up and down a menu. These things are tied to the various...
The freedom of a wanderer.
These things... Thank you, main character. These things are tied to various button prompts. So you have the circle, square, circle, square, and triangle up there in positions that correspond with where they are on the joystick as well. Same goes for the R1 button, and I think the start button is a little bit of an outlier, but still.
Wind!
Let's try. Fight. Let's try fighting Bro. I think it's now time to heal.
Here.
Second win, baby. I really like this system of certain moves being tied to certain buttons, because I don't have to like go up and down a menu. I think it's a great innovation for
We can do this.
Turn-based role-playing games.
Come forth, royal soul! Scour! By this power! Wind!
Almost there. At this point, you might be thinking that a lot of this game, aside from the political stuff, has a lot of commonalities with Persona, and you'd be right. Because I think that they learned from Persona, they learned from SMT, and they put a lot of the stuff that they have in their other games into this one, and I'm really glad for it. Because, see, I'm gonna be real with you, I'm not the biggest Persona fan out there, okay? Like, once upon a time, when I was a bit younger, games like Persona 3, it really
The freedom of a
hit
wanderer.
me quite just right? I was in the high school phase of my life. I was also doing the same kind of things as the protagonists were doing, you know, like meeting up with friends and doing so and so. But like as I grew older, it's games like Shin Megami Tensei that really caught my attention, because it was about things and topics that were a little bit more on the mature side. And while Persona is an interesting introspective series about overcoming personal adversity, I found myself gravitating more towards Shin Megami Tensei because it was a game that was more about big ideas, right? So,
let's stay calm.
Seeing this game,
let's go,
metaphor also take on like political and social injustice and all that was really heartening, because I was thinking maybe with the success of Persona 5, yeah, take that human, whereas Zamasu from Dragon Ball might say Ningen. Nice. By the way, the archetypes can also level up independently, so that's pretty cool.
For greater heights.
They can learn new moves. Let's make our strength a little bit better. Alright, so as I was saying, with the success of Persona 5,
true power is
I
born
was
of
really
the heart,
worried
a
that...
wish from which thy strength is
Okay,
drawn.
let's watch this cutscene first.
Yet fear and anxiety always trail in such a wish's wake. Since time immemorial, those we call heroes have earned the title through this order. They pursued their wishes and boldly walked a path
Like
of
Gallica
virtue.
can hear it too.
What thou hast awakened is the true spirit of a hero. The power that lies dormant in all of us. The power to reforge the fear of the unknown into curiosity. If thou wouldst change the world by thine own hand, take this newfound power and venture forth.
What was that voice? And you! What was that power? You had a metal heart, and your whole body was... It was crazy! Look, that Stroll guy is still alive!
I'll be damned. Someone actually survived.
Now this guy has an accent and a half. Okay, Kito, I happen to know that you're a big fan of these Scottish-Irish type accents. I hope you're listening.
That voice... Grius! Oh, thank goodness, you're alive!
Gallica, you made it.
He's our man on the inside. The one I'm delivering the message to.
Hey,
Badly hurt.
let's go.
You, boy, lend me your shoulder. We'll need to carry him. The smell of blood will draw out the beasts. Let's not hang about.
Let's not hang about.
The lad's out cold, but he'll live. We should be fine if we take a moment's rest here.
Oh, you're a sight for sore eyes, Grius. Just wish it were under better circumstances.
We're both alive, and you can't ask for much better in these parts. Sorry I couldn't join you in the fray. So, this is our newcomer, eh? How'd this boy manage to command power like that?
It's like nothing I've ever seen. Do you know anything about
What do you
it?
think about
I
Grius's
might.
accent?
For now, the mission
You,
comes
Kito.
first.
Ah, right. I'd better just get straight to the message. Grius, you have a new mission.
Oh?
Avenge the king. and kill Luis Guillaburn.
Oh boy, we're going after
good.
Luis?
It's about damn time. Those scheming nobles haven't said so publicly, but every soldier knows it was nothing natural that killed the king. Damn that Luis. Couldn't stop at one royal, could he?
Wait, there's more. The prince is getting worse. We're running out of time. Here, look.
You're right, he does sound
I
like
brought a
Garp
treasure
from the
from the
live-action iteration of One
They
Piece.
called it a farsight mirror. You need to see the prince's condition for yourself.
His Highness won't last much longer. Those thorns are thick enough to claim him.
Luis cast the curse, so killing him is the only way to lift it. If we wait any longer, they're just gonna crown a new king.
You have to kill him?
Suppose we'd better start at the beginning. About 15 years ago, a child enlisted in the army. But it wasn't his age that had people talking. It was his ruthless military genius. Hero to some, monster to others. Luis Guillaburn, a prodigal tactician and a master of Magla arts. Some said it was only a matter of time before he made general. The youngest the nations had.
Until he attacked the prince.
That night, when the prince's quarters were breached, it was no ordinary maid.
Look at that
cast
smug
fatal
mug.
curse. It was Luis Guillaburn himself.
This guy
But the son's
really
death
knows.
wasn't enough for him.
He thinks
Now
he's that guy,
got
you
the
know?
father's
He's
blood in his
done it.
hands.
I'm that guy, is what
And
his
if
look
that
says.
king-slaying fiend ends up on the throne, we're all doomed.
But when we were exploring the royal capital, there were a lot more Luis supporters than I expected. How can they still trust him after all that?
Luis is cunning. He left no evidence. Accuse him as you will, the allegations wouldn't stick. All they could do was send him as far away as possible. A post in the middle of nowhere. Plenty of soldiers never believed the charges in the first place. When they look at him, they see a capable veteran unjustly made into the noble scapegoat. Most think the Royal Army was at its best when he was in charge. And in truth, it's hard to deny. Without him, we'd never have crushed the rebel uprising so quickly.
I wonder
Damn
who
them,
these
man.
4 characters in the shadow
His
are.
youngest
I've only
titles.
so far encountered
He's
just one
mastered
of them,
the
so I'm
blade,
gonna assume that these
magic,
are
and he's
Luis's
clearly
loyalists, right? His
To
most
the masses who
loyal
want change,
inner circle.
he seems the savior they need.
If even you're that worried about him, then this isn't going to be easy.
That's a hell of a mission. And I want in.
So that's your game, eh? Pretend to sleep, eavesdrop on the plan. You're a fool to give yourself away.
If you want my blood, then let your blade strike true.
Oh,
not going to
Screwstar,
run.
I absolutely agree
Not
with
from
you.
you,
I too love
and
the
not from
fact
a
that he's
chance to
named
do what's
Luis and
right.
looks like that specific
Look,
demon from
Grius,
SMT.
he
I think
saved
that
our
could
lives
actually
back
be
there.
a Loki
And it
reference.
sounds like
Like,
we
is
could
that
use
that
the
wild
help.
of me to think that?
Seems like kind of a waste to kill him. Especially if he's volunteering.
Grius
Then answer
with no
me this.
trust.
The boy's all but a stranger to you, yet you risk your life to save him. Why?
I would live, fight, and die a noble, sir. To have done otherwise would betray my title, to say nothing of my heart.
There, I'm losing my edge. Make me regret this, and I will slay you where you stand.
And that's
You'll let
how
him
the
help
first party of the
Right
game
then.
is formed, y'all. Under
My
duress,
life and sword are yours.
so to speak.
As far as the rest of the world's concerned, you perished in that castle. You'll find the job ahead will be easier for a dead man. Your lives are kept only by the blades in your hands, and you'll raise them at my command.
We have to.
So with this, we have a quest to save the prince from death's curse. The deadline is unknown, and the rank is quite difficult, but this is one of the main quests, something we'll be doing for the rest of the story, I surmise.
Luis will also be at the royal funeral. If we're not back to the capital by then, we lose our chance at his head. But no main roads. That'll mean checkpoints and questions. We're bound for a different route. We'll cut through the abandoned mine up ahead to save us going the long way round. For tonight, see to your wounds.
That abandoned mine is the next
Feels like the mission is finally starting.
leg of the journey. So we'll set up camp, and I'm gonna end
Now,
the
we should finally be able to get some
stream
rest.
a little bit after
This
everybody's
your
done
first deployment,
talking.
boy. Thank your lucky stars you survived a brush with a human.
What the hell was that?
No one truly knows. They're protected by Magla. All we do know is with every passing year, more of their kind tear travelers apart.
And?
Simmer down, boy. There wasn't a damn thing to be found on those monsters.
Ah.
Well, the moon's still low. If you've any other questions, now's the time.
I want to hear about the mission.
I'll hit
With
this
numbers
dialogue
like
option
this,
just to
a head-on assault
reveal a little
would
bit
be
more
suicide.
info.
Quick, covert assassinations are best bet. Kingslayer or no, Luis has a lot of public favour behind him. To the people, he's the only man with the wit and war power to bring down humans. The military seems powerless to stop them, so he plays saviour. The man's practically a monster himself. By your age, he was not only a master tactician, but damn near an archmage besides.
And the three of us alone are supposed to stop him?
We'll just have to blend in with the crowd at the funeral. I won't abide him surviving the ceremony. He will die by my hand.
Alright, so this brings us to the part where we rest and then the rest of the story continues, right? So I'm gonna take a little bit moment here to just, sign off and just say a few things about the game before we move on. The game, in case you're joining us really, really late, is Metaphor Fantazio, a game by Atlus, the creators and publishers of Persona, of Shin Megami Tensei series, and a lot of other series, such as, I don't know, Digital Devil Saga, Devil Summoner. They do a lot of occult-based JRPGs, basically, and some other types of games as well. Now, this is their newest entry, a new IP under their belt, and I personally am really, really loving this game. I am hoping to actually review this game sometime soon. Fingers crossed for that one. As far as I'm concerned, for the part that I've played this game seems to be a game that takes everything that they've learned from a lot of the other games that they've made and just they're just putting their best foot forward. And as far as I can tell from the reaction of the public to this game, this might be their fastest, best-selling game yet. In fact, they were able to hit 1 million copies on copies sold on day one, if I'm not wrong. And I think that's great. This is a great game, and I am really enjoying it so far. I'll be streaming this game every now and again, just to show you guys like what kind of progress that I'm making. Perhaps this time from my actual save instead of Emmen-kun over here, right? And before we go, one thing that I really want to say is that so far, out of the things that I'm really liking about the game, I love that there are a ton of quality of life features that make this JRPG very approachable to players, right? I also really love the fact that there are really interesting, cool characters in this game, but I mean, that's par for the course for most Atlus games. Their characters are quite standout very often, at least as far as the Persona series is concerned. SMT, though, the characters are not really the main focus as much as the ideas that they espouse, so that's something. But in this game, there are characters with interesting arcs, interesting personalities, and interesting, what are they about. And another thing I really love is that they are really, really going all in with the world building. They've created a world that is unique. They've put a lot of thought into how every single part of it works, from the currency to the religion to the various races in it to the politics to the background magic, like how does it function and everything, right? And I also really love that they're not shying away from difficult topics and major themes like politics, like regicide. I mean, that's the inciting incident of the whole story right there, right? I love that they're also talking about things like discrimination, diversity, and these kind of topics as well. I think that's pretty awesome, especially in a fantasy context. And it's really strange and interesting to me that humans are the name that they've chosen for these utterly bizarre monsters. I think it's just fascinating. Like, I am so interested to see what this game is cooking up. I really hope that the ending will surprise and delight me as well. So far, it's been taking me on a heck of a wild ride, and I really love it. Now, with that, I'm gonna say my preliminary verdict on the game is that if you're a JRPG fan, this is a must play for you. If you are not a JRPG fan and you are thinking of getting into it, this could be a really great game to start. Although, I mean, to be fair, it could kind of set a really high bar for you. But, I mean, as consumers, do we not deserve the best for the money that we pay? And I certainly think so. But that said, thank you for joining me on this exploration of Metaphor ReFantazio. I will now be signing off, and don't forget to check out our other content on our YouTube channel. You can just go onto YouTube and search for Emmen Gaming, and you'll be able to find us. We do uh, vi video reviews, we do like monthly videos about games that are coming out, and we also do podcasts. Our podcast, Checkpoint Coffee, where we talk about all sorts of gaming topics about games, gamers, the industry, and we even shed a spotlight on the local gaming scene from time to time. With that, I've been me, and this has been Metaphor Fantasio. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you around the next time. Bye bye.